The Mavericks blow a big lead and a big opportunity at home against the Denver Nuggets. Unfortunately, we will break it all down here for you. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carrello. We, of course, are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team, even in a disappointing loss as the Mavericks fall at home to the Denver Nuggets, 112-101. The Dallas Mavericks blowing what was a 19-point lead, see themselves fall to the Denver Nuggets as the Mavericks now fall to 22-17 on the season. We'll break it all down here for you coming up over the next hour. Really appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Bobby Carrello. We'll be joined later on in the show by our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center, and our national NBA insider Marc Stein as well from the arena. A disappointing afternoon after what was a terrific start for the Dallas Mavericks. Klay Thompson with his second 25-plus point game of the season with 25 points, going 6 of 13 from downtown. The Mavericks have 4 guys in double figures, but unfortunately they only score 40 points in the second half as the Denver Nuggets outscore the Dallas Mavericks what would be 45-15 in the second half to lose this game, Bobby, in a game that unfortunately saw the Denver Nuggets dominate on the glass.
Did you just say 45-15?
That's right. That's right.
What does that even mean?
I'm sorry, 45-15 from the 4:50 mark of the third quarter through the rest of the game.
I'm not used to hearing those numbers next to each other. Like, that's not a score.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get it right. So the Mavericks were up 86-67 with 4:50 left in the third quarter. From that moment on, after that Klay Thompson three-pointer, the Nuggets outscored the Mavericks 45-15 to win the game 112-101.
Yeah, so the Stars guys did a pregame show, and then they came up and were watching the beginning of the Stars game and then the rest of the Mavs game. I think the whole time they were up there, they saw the Mavs make like one shot.
Yeah,
exactly. They were up there for like 30 minutes. Dude, that was brutal. That was brutal. There's no other way to say it. They got pushed around. That was such a deflating way to spend my Sunday afternoon.
It started off great.
They were red hot. 11 out of their first 17 from 3, and then they made one of their next 17 from 3. And you know, I said on this very post-game show after they beat the Grizzlies or lost to the Grizzlies, it was like if they want to win, they got to shoot 60% from 3. Like, they just have to.
Yeah.
Well, they were for 2 quarters, and then they stopped doing that. You know, it's really hard to shoot like that for a full game. And whenever you start bricking everything from beyond the arc, you have to have some other mode, you know. And over the last few games, that other mode has been Quentin Grimes doing some stuff, or Derek Lively doing some stuff, or playing good defense, I guess. Mm-hmm. Well, in the second half, there was no defense. Derek Lively was on the bench in foul trouble, and Quentin Grimes had his worst game maybe of the season. And so, you know, here you go. That's the result. It was a bummer, but we move on. We move forward. I'm ready. All right, that was a great show.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works. We got another 55 minutes or so to go here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Right. Unfortunately, the Mavericks weren't able to overcome a double-digit blown lead in this game. The last time they played the Denver Nuggets back on November 22nd, the Mavericks were up by 24 in that game, blew that lead, but they were able to overcome it thanks to Najee Marshall scoring 26 points in 26 minutes that night to steal a win in Denver, blow a 19-point lead in this game, but Aaron Gordon and company was not having it today. I thought Aaron Gordon was really good for the Denver Nuggets. Good. He was a plus 23 in the 17 minutes that he played for Denver. But the story of today's game, Bobby, will be what happened on the glass, because the Dallas Mavericks simply were dominated, especially on the offensive glass. Overall, they were out-rebounded 55-37 and were a negative 19 in the second chance point department, where the Nuggets had 27 second chance points in this game. That, to me, if you're looking for what was the story of the game, was the fact that the Nuggets continue to get second chance after second chance, and they capitalized versus the Mavericks' inability to secure defensive rebounds, and it was to their detriment today against Denver.
Yeah, I thought that kind of coincided with the other back-breaking element of this game, which is the Nuggets went plus 13 when Jokic was on the bench, which they never do. Jokic, coming into this game, whenever he was on the floor, the Nuggets were playing like the pick your favorite team of all time. That's what they were playing like. Whenever he was off the floor, they were minus 166 cumulatively, minus 12 net rating whenever he's been out of the game. They were plus 13 in this game today. And a couple of those buckets that the Nuggets scored in the fourth quarter, whenever the game was it was like, okay, it's panic button time.
Yeah.
DeAndre Jordan putback dunk. Russ had a putback. I think Gordon had a putback at some point. And it's just, again, it's a lot of second chances, and those are a lot of freebies that you're giving to a team that normally struggles offensively without Jokic. But the concerning thing, or the real bummer of it all, is that the Nuggets had 15 offensive rebounds, which is a lot, but that's not like a crazy high number of offensive rebounds. But whenever they turn those into 27 second chance points, they're scoring
nearly 2
almost
points
every single time. Yeah,
yeah.
They were 10 of 15 on shots on a second on a second chance. So they were scoring almost every time in those looks. And for a team that Denver was 7 of 32 from 3 today, they were shooting awful. They started the game 2 of 9 from the free throw line. Like, they were just donating points to charity, for a lot of the game. What you can't do in that situation, especially when it's against a good team that knows how to close games, is give them cheapies to keep them kind of attached. It was a 19-point game in the third. It could have been like a 28-point game in the third, but it wasn't. And I think that was kind of a consequence. A lot of these second chance points are a consequence not just of Jokic beating Lively or Gafford or Maxey for the rebound. Don't think about it that way, even though there were times when that happened. The real issue is in situations where you're doubling Jokic and it's swing three, you're scrambling. It's a lot harder when you scramble to get offensive rebound or to get defensive rebounds. It's harder to find a guy boxing out when you're defending space and not a person. The other thing is Gafford and Lively or Maxey or whoever the five is so tied up trying to box out Jokic that they're essentially out of the play. Like, those two guys are not going to be part of the action. Somebody else has to come in and get the rebound. And so what I see when I look at the box score is 15 offensive rebounds for the Nuggets, but only 6 of them for the bigs. What I see is 3 offensive rebounds for Michael Porter Jr., 3 offensive rebounds for Christian Brown, 2 for Russ, who's the shortest player on the floor, 1 for Aaron Gordon. That's 9 offensive rebounds for guys that should have been boxed out. P.J. Washington did not do enough of that. Spencer Dinwiddie did not do any of that. Truly horrifying watching that guy try and get rebounds. Quentin Grimes got pushed around. Hardy didn't do much either. Maxey, whenever he was playing the 4, did a little bit, but whenever he was the 5, they were getting worked. It was tough. And so rebounding, think about rebounding as a 5-person thing, not a 5-man thing. It's not just a center thing. This is a 5-person feat that you have to pull off together, and it really seemed like for most of the game, every non-center on the Mavs just hoping that the tallest guy on the floor would bail them out.
Yeah, and you look at the way that this game played out, the Mavericks got off to a really hot start in this game. In fact, outscoring the Nuggets, they opened up the first 5 minutes of the game, outscoring the Nuggets 19-3. Klay Thompson knocking down a three-pointer to give the Mavericks what was a 16-point lead at 19-3 at the time. In fact, they led 32-17 at the end of one. You give the Nuggets credit in that second quarter. They were able to close the gap to 3 at halftime. The Nuggets outscored the Mavericks 17-9 in the first 4 minutes to cut it to 7. The Mavericks were able to eventually get it back up to double digits. But again, the Nuggets were able to get some things going, especially with the offensive rebounding, having 7 offensive rebounds in it that second quarter, scoring 41 points in that period, shooting 50% from 3 and nearly 62% from the field overall. Russell Westbrook had a big second quarter with 8 points there.
I told y'all. You can meme Russell Westbrook into eternity all you want, but that dude was so good today. He had 21 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, a steal. That dude was awesome.
Yeah, he was making a lot of winning plays today and has been doing so as of late for Denver, who found themselves on the winning end of tonight's game. But even as you get into the second half, the Mavericks outscored the Nuggets 25-9 in the first 7 minutes to build what was that 19-point lead with 4:50 left. So even with Denver, Bobby, closing the gap to get it to within 3 going into halftime, the shooting, especially with Klay Thompson, who at one point scored 8 points in 48 seconds, was really able to stem the tide and get themselves a big double-digit lead. And you felt like, okay, they were able to sustain the run that Denver went on to really take a big lead and then hopefully be able to carry it into the fourth quarter. But the valve simply closed offensively from that 4:50 mark on, and the Mavericks simply couldn't buy a bucket through the final quarter and basically in a half of the game.
Is this where we're going to do it?
We got to do it.
So one thing that I noticed about their fourth quarter offense is that one player in particular, I think, was trying to set the Guinness World Record for number of dribbles in a single quarter. And I don't want to just take a giant dump on Spencer Dinwiddie live on the internet because, first off, he's on the vet minimum. He played 39 minutes in the game. By the end of the game, he's out of gas. The Mavs have no guards right now. One of their only guards on the team is Jaden Hardy, who was really bad tonight after having a really good stretch lately. Another one, Quentin Grimes, really struggled as well. I thought our Grimes agenda took a big hit tonight.
It did.
We will not be deterred, though, all right? I'm not backing down. So there really was no other option. It had to be Dinwiddie, and he just didn't have it. And, nobody else could get anything going. They were face guarding Klay. Lively was doing a lot of cool stuff out of like this sort of high post area, but he was in foul trouble the whole game or the whole second half. So he wasn't out on the floor consistently. So it was just a lot of Dinwiddie.
Too much.
Way too much Spencer Dinwiddie.
Too much.
Like, I can't emphasize it enough. A disturbing amount of Spencer Dinwiddie. But again, like, there has to be some other mode, right? And Dinwiddie's doing his best. He's trying his best. He's a vet minimum guy that's trying to do the job of 2 Hall of Famers. Good luck. Like, no one is able to pull that off, but the number of times that they had a 0 pass possession was truly mind-boggling, mind-numbing, and I don't want to watch it ever again. I feel like I'm owed. Like, I feel like I've contracted mesothelioma and I'm entitled to like a payout right now,
I mean, you just cannot beat the air out of the ball and then take the kind of shots that at times Dinwiddie was taking and think that's going to be, offensively efficient, and it wasn't, because one of the things that was really good, I thought, in the first half, the Mavericks were constantly touching the paint. Things were happening really well for them when they were either kicking, redriving, getting the ball in the paint, getting Denver scrambling a little bit, and knocking down the open opportunities that they have from the three-point line. For some reason, in the second half, it felt like all of that stopped without the ball movement, without getting the ball into the paint. Obviously, you touched on it with Derek Lively getting into foul trouble. He wound up coming back into the game with 4 fouls with about 4.5 minutes left in the game. Promptly, quickly, and picked up his 5th foul, fouling Nikola Jokic beyond the three-point line.
Dude, way out there for no reason.
Exactly.
Like, that is the thing. That's the thing we talk about.
Yeah.
I'm cool if you're contesting a shot, it's going to happen. 30 feet from the rim after your other guy just did the same thing.
The exact same thing.
You're really putting my patience to the test.
So, again, you could not get any traction offensively, and then you just couldn't hit shots in the fourth quarter to the tune of only scoring 12 points. But to me, that's where the game changed. Not the great ball movement that you saw in the first half in order to touch the paint to get wide open shots. You did too much dribbling of the basketball, and that's what happens when you don't have shots falling and guys trying to make plays when they aren't necessarily there. And the Mavericks wind up scoring what would be 40 points in the second half to lose this game.
It's also like, okay, so, Dinwiddie and also to an extent guys like Najee, even Grimes, really everyone that's available for the Mavs right now outside of Jaden Hardy doesn't really have that initial burst, right? Just that blazing speed. So it's really, really hard for anybody on this team to break their guy down one-on-one, without the use of a screen. And you don't really want to run a pick and roll right now because no one on the team can throw a lob. Yeah. So you kind of have to run some handoff stuff.
A lot of dribble handoffs.
Yeah, and that's great. That's great. But it's a lot harder to do that off a make, and the Nuggets were making a lot of shots in the second half, so your defense has to help your offense. But also, one of the things that bothers me about Dinwiddie is something that Luka used to do a lot, and it drove me crazy about Luka. Even when I was working for the Mavs, I was doing these Mavs streams during 21-22, and I'm like, get the ball up the floor faster. I mean, there are so many possessions in this game where nothing happened until there was like 12 seconds left in the shot clock, or sometimes under 10 seconds left in the shot clock. It is literally just dribbling out 30 feet from the rim, and nobody's a threat. Nobody's doing anything. Like, you're trying to set a cross screen to get PJ Washington to post up, which don't do any of that. Don't do that. Don't do that anymore. But like, you have to get into stuff faster because even off a make, right? If the Nuggets make a shot, inbound the ball quickly, sprint it up the floor, and just something is going to happen. There's going to be some space opened up, or you're going to force a mismatch, or like they're not going to be able to get into their shell. Like, you're going to be able to do something, but and part of that is fatigue, right? If you're tired, it's harder to push the ball. And you're demoralized because you've been getting knocked around, bullied and stuff. So it's harder to push the ball, but you have to overcome that and do it. The only way that this group of guys is going to get good shots at will is by playing flow, by playing fast, by getting up the floor early and trying 4, 5, 6 times to do something. What you can't do is trick 15 seconds off the shot clock to where now you have one chance to do something, and if not, you got to take some bailout BS off-balance 3 and hope you get a call.
Let's take our first break here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. When we come back, the turning point of what today's game was, the moments and plays that define, unfortunately, this loss for the Mavericks. Plus, later on in our show, Tim Cato and Marc Stein will join us live from the American Airlines Center. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. But it's game time here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. If you love going to sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, you got to use Game Time to get your tickets. It's playoff time, and you got to use Game Time Picks, which filters out the fluff to show you the incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. I use Game Time to purchase my tickets to go to WrestleMania April 19th and 20th in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium to see what will be a 2-night extravaganza. I was able to use the panoramic seat views to know exactly where I was going to be sitting before I even purchased my tickets. Plus, I was able to get all-in pricing to know exactly how much I was going to pay before I purchased the tickets as well, so I wasn't surprised when I check out. So make sure you take the guesswork out of buying the tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DLLS for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DLLS for $20 off. Download Game Time today for your last-minute tickets. Bobby, what time is it?
Game time? Rugged Road is dedicated to creating innovative and durable outdoor gear for adventurers who demand the best. Their products are designed with the highest quality materials and craftsmanship, ensuring they perform in the toughest conditions. Whether you're on land or water, Rugged Road gear is built to accompany you on every adventure. Unlike other heavy-duty coolers, Rugged Road coolers are incredibly light, making them easy to transport on any trip without compromising on performance. They're very floatable, but they're also very durable, too. So even though they're light, they are crafted to handle the toughest environments. Their coolers are built to last, ensuring they can keep up with any adventure, whether that's the weight of a million drinks, the force of a flowing river, or the weight of a man. The coolers are guaranteed to keep their contents cool for up to 7 days or longer, honestly, because we've had some guys stranded in there for a while, and they're still ice cold. Gear up for your next adventure with Rugged Road coolers. Reliable, durable, and built to be used, Rugged Road is your ultimate outdoor companion. Head to ruggedroadoutdoors.com and use code DLLS for 10% off.
Really appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. If you want to help us out, make sure you subscribe to DLLS Sports.
16 away!
We are just 16 subscribers away from reaching the 13,000 subscriber mark. So tell your friends, your family who are fans of the Cowboys, Stars, Rangers, Mavericks, get in here, subscribe to DLLS Sports for the best DFW sports talk that you can find anywhere in the Metroplex. Unfortunately, the Mavericks still fall to the Denver Nuggets today, 112-101, as the Denver Nuggets were able to have 6 guys in double figures, including Russell Westbrook, who had 21 points, Nikola Jokic, 19 points, 18 rebounds, and 9 assists in this game. Aaron Gordon had 13 points and 6 rebounds and was a plus 23 in the 18 minutes that he played. Coming up next segment, we'll be joined by our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato live from the American Airlines Center. But let's get to what was the turning point in this game, Bobby Carella, as the Mavericks, who now fall to 2-1 on this 4-game homestand, will look to clinch a winning homestand on Tuesday night when they run it back with Denver in a late start time at 8:30 p.m. Let's just fast forward to what was the third quarter, as the Mavericks at one point had outscored the Nuggets 25-9 in the first 7 minutes of that period to build what was an 86-67 lead. Klay Thompson was fantastic in this game, knocking down 6 3-pointers. He had a really good first half and was able to carry it over, especially in that third quarter. and really helped build the Mavericks to a really good lead. And you felt like at that point, with 4:50 left, you're up 19, shots are falling, the team offensively feels like it's in a good flow, and you're keeping a talented Nuggets team offensively at bay. Again, 67 points with 4:50 left in the third quarter. Defensively, you're doing the job as well. And then, unfortunately, from that point on, it simply fell apart, getting outscored by 30 for the rest of the game, 45-15, Bobby. And the Mavericks simply could not buy a bucket to save themselves, even with the incredible start that they had in the first half and more than halfway through the third quarter in this game.
Real quick, I want to get out in front of this. I feel like Dak Prescott in the third quarter of a 3 o'clock kickoff. All right, the sun is right there.
Wow.
And I'm gonna try so hard to not make weird faces.
Well, unlike,
I should have got my shady rays for this.
Well, unlike Jerry and Jerry's world, we do have shades here, so we can't close them.
We do. We might need to because it is so bright. Tanner, you are the realest person I've ever known in my life. So, to your point, if you do the twisty.
Do the twist.
It might not be around. It's okay. It's all right. I'll tough it out. I'll do what the Mavs couldn't and finish the job.
Oh, damn.
So on the pregame show, we talked about how these non-Jokic minutes are so important.
We did, yes.
Jokic, this has been going on for years now. Whenever Jokic is on the floor, the Nuggets are great. Whenever he's off the floor, they stink, like really, really, really bad. And so we said specifically, Jaden Hardy and Quentin Grimes, you're going to be on the court a lot whenever it is the non-Jokic lineup, whatever that may be. We thought maybe it would be Aaron Gordon, small ball 5, or DeAndre Jordan with Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson or whatever. That's not a lot of shooting. But at any rate, you got to be able to score. You have to be able to score. But the Mavs bench tonight, Maxey hit 2 threes, but he had a really rough game. Really rough game. Quentin Grimes, 1 of 4, minus 22. Maxey was minus 26, by the way. Grimes had 4 turnovers, no assists. Really uncharacteristic of him. Jaden Hardy, 1 of 7. Just was complete. I wish he was a non-factor. Daniel Gafford, 2 for 7. 3 fouls. He was a minus 7. Really, really struggled. And then Omax came in and airballed a corner 3, but he only played 2 minutes. You have to have a bench. The bench has to lift the starters whenever these guys are out. With Luka and Kyrie out, your bench has to be a factor. And in these 2 wins, they were. The bench was fantastic in that Portland game and really, really good against the Lakers as well. And the bench has even been good in some losses. But tonight, the bench did not give the Mavs a chance. You know, you can't have PJ playing 38, Najee 31. Lively would have played a lot more, but he was in foul trouble. Dinwiddie playing damn near 40. Clay playing 35. But those started. I saw someone say this in the chat. The bench guys, they were not good enough to even be on the floor. Like, the starters had to play all these minutes because the bench guys were just giving you nothing at either end of the floor. Like, truly non-factors in the game. And that's a really tough pill to swallow against a Nuggets team that is notorious for just giving away points whenever Jokic is on the bench. And, again, tonight, the Mavs were minus 13 in the non-Jokic minutes. Jokic played 38 minutes and 38 seconds. So in less than 10 minutes, they were minus 13. If they were just even, or even minus, I guess even is about what it would need to be. Yeah. If they were even, they would have won.
They would have won.
You know? But minus 13 is unheard of. I mean, that is just completely unheard of. So it's a huge bummer.
Yeah, and it's a domino effect when you're losing the non-Jokic minutes. You're not getting defensive rebounds to end defensive possessions, and then you can't make shots at all. It's just a recipe for disaster. And unfortunately, all of that came into a perfect storm, especially, in that third quarter, because, again, you're not going to get a lot of Klay Thompson games like this. You're hoping that as the season goes on, you get a few more games like this. But for him to have 25 points in this game and the way that he was shooting the ball from the three-point line, you got to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. And we mentioned a little bit earlier, you blew a 24-point lead against Denver the last time you played them on the road, and you were able to get guys like Najee Marshall and others to be able to stem the tide. It was just not enough shot making from enough guys down the stretch. But the concern I have more from today's game is at times when this offense gets stagnant, when it gets stagnant, it gets really bad. What can they do to generate some more offense? We saw a lot of the dribble handoffs. We tried to see some creation in the first half, but what do you do when shots aren't falling if guys are going to be taking the kinds of shots, unfortunately, with the selection that they had? to kind of break some of that streak because they just simply couldn't find anything offensively to even generate something positive once shots started not falling there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the question we asked right whenever Luke and Kyrie got hurt. I was like, what's their pet play? What do they do whenever they're like, we need to get a good shot? Every coach has 5 or 6 plays that just work, and they'll usually call them out of a timeout. The Mavs don't have any plays that work because they don't have any players that can do stuff with plays. Like, these guys have to score in the open floor, create a 4-on-3 or 3-on-2, or someone's got to do something heroic, or someone's going to have to make a tough look, or you're going to have to hope that Clay's made 2 or 3 shots in a row and the defense will overreact the way that the Lakers were doing. Today, Clay got it going, and the Nuggets started face guarding a little bit, but they already were. They were kind of face guarding everybody, and they were turning the game into basically a bunch of one-on-ones, which I thought was really smart. Throughout the whole season, we've said on this show so many times, whenever teams just stay home on Mav shooters, even when Luka and Kyrie are in the game, if you just stay home on the shooters and you don't commit too much attention to the ball, you can really kind of eliminate any sort of threat. It becomes a very isolation heavy offense. Now, one way that the Mavs try and counter it is, again, pick and roll with your bigs. But the Mavs don't have good lob throwers right now. Like, Dinwiddie is okay at throwing lobs, but nobody else is good. No one else. I don't want anyone else throwing a lob. PJ post-ups, not good. Spencer ISO, not good. Clay off a screen is, but the Nuggets kind of figured that out. Like, Clay was having to really earn his stuff in the second half, or he was scoring out of broken plays. Like, they figured it out because it's kind of like a one-note thing, So it's going to be really, really tough. I mean, that's why the Mavs defense has to be their offense. Their defense has to set the offense up for success, and then the offense cannot commit turnovers, right? You got to keep this a half-court thing on offense, or whenever you're on defense, and then whenever you're on defense, turn it into a full-court game, going back the other way. And they just weren't able to do that because the Nuggets were rebounding all their misses and scoring every time. So it's this cascading effect, I think the one thing, again, that they can do pretty reliably to get a bucket is give the ball to Daniel Gafford about 12 feet from the rim and let him try and muscle his way through somebody. But he couldn't do that today against Russ. Russ packed him right at the rim, and that was pretty embarrassing. But yeah, he did get other guys, but the problem is Gafford he was not good on defense today. And so in the second half, Kid went with Maxey at the 5, hoping that would work, and that didn't work either. So they went back to Gafford, but then that didn't work. So then they went back to Lively, and then that didn't work either. So nothing was working. But dude, I mean, I don't want to be too hard on Gafford either because he's just a backup. But they're paying him $15 million or whatever. He hasn't had a good game in almost a month. His last good game was the game before Christmas against Portland. It's tough right now, dude. It's really, really tough right now. And we did this show the other day, the segment where we were talking about trades, and I mentioned you might trade Gafford for someone, Gafford and Maxey or whatever, Gafford and whoever for somebody, and there are people that are like, don't trade Gafford. Gafford's really good. Luka likes him. Well, he makes $15 million and he's your backup. He's your backup, and he's the 3rd or 4th highest paid player on the team. After a game like this, I mean, you got to get more out of him. You have noticed if he didn't even play?
Yeah, you got to get more out of that position, especially when although he's not necessarily a great rebounder.
Lively was so good.
Exactly.
The drop-off was so noticeable.
And you started to make the point real quick. Lively, I thought, was good in this game, especially when he wasn't in foul trouble. Again, that's something we've talked about plenty on the show. When he's on the floor and available, he's really good. Had 14 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a couple of blocks. I thought some of the passes he was making, had a nice backdoor pass, Klay Thompson for a layup. Lively's overall game, you continue to see developing, whether it's the floater game. He's got nice little lefty, hands at the finish, at the rim. He's got the kind of game that you feel good about when he's on the floor. But the drop-off when Daniel Gafford came into the game was stark, unfortunately, and not a lot of guys were able to contribute to what was winning basketball down the stretch of today's game.
But, and this is really important, this goes back to what I said after the Grizzlies loss. This team is so extremely well, in my opinion, well optimized around Luka and Kyrie. It should come as no surprise that the last time Daniel Gafford had an objectively good game was the last time that Luka played a full game. Gafford is incredible playing off Luka. He is so good at dominating all of that space that is open up underneath whenever teams are coming up too high on Luka or coming out too far on Kyrie. He's really, really good at that. But whenever Luka and Kyrie aren't out there, There's no one to basically feed him lobs and feed him dump-off passes and things like that. He just kind of is a zero on offense, or is sort of a non-factor, and then his defensive flaws become a little more exposed because he's not making up for it on the offensive end. So whenever Luka and Kyrie are healthy, Gafford is awesome. Right now he's not, and that wouldn't be that big of a deal if it wasn't going to be 3 more weeks before either of those guys come back.
Yeah.
But as it is right now, we don't know when Kyrie's going to play, and Stein swears Luka's not going to play a game in January and that's like pretty optimistic, I think. So a $15 million contract matches a lot of other people in the league if you add a couple other guys to it. So that's the only reason that, you toss them around. But as far as saying like, you got to go, you got to trade him, whatever, like just tap the brakes on that because every other team is seeing what's going on right now too.
Apparently smoking big leads today was a theme in DFW sports because SMU's women's team today, check this out. They were up 46-14 on Pittsburgh with a $1:37 left in the second quarter. They lost 72-59 to Pitt. That means they blew a 32-point lead. The large
58-13.
Yeah, that's the largest comeback in NCAA women's basketball history. So SMU meet the Mavericks today, blowing big point leads. You two can go have dinner tonight. So that's what's happening today, unfortunately, in DFW sports. Coming up next, though, here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show, we'll be joined live by Tim Cato, our Mavericks beat writer, live from the American Airlines Center as Klay Thompson is finishing up at the podium.
Still 15 away from 13K. Tell your friends, let's go. Let's hit the milestone. I know times are bad. I know we're just bitching and moaning, but come on, let's go. Let's go.
Plus, a little bit later on, we'll be joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, as well. All that and more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Let me talk to you about FOCO. Make sure you check out FOCO, who has the best fitted outdoor gear in sports around, with hoodies, shoes, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. If you're going to a basketball game, hockey game, whatever the case may be, you can show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets as well. Whether it's jackets, beachwear, or even overalls, Bobby, there is something for fans for almost every occasion. Even set decorations that you can see back here in our studio if you're watching us live right now. Foco's donated some of these awesome pieces for our sets as well, so make sure you go show them some love. So check out foco.com or click the link in the description below.
You ever worn overalls?
No, I don't think. No, I haven't.
I don't know if I mean, if we get a discount, it might be worth it. Maybe they're cool. Are they comfortable? Are you ever worn overalls, Tanner?
Not since I was 12. So.
All right, one of us needs to go to foco.com and get some overalls.
What if we all wore overalls?
We get 10% off.
I'll let y'all do that.
Right?
Check out foco.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items and use promo code DLLS10 for 10% off FOCO today. I do have some FOCO Crocs, though, made by Dallas Cowboys. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Started by 2 college pals. Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs, perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, bar, studio, heck, American Airlines Center, whatever you can think of. Check out their new Essentials collection featuring 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting for only $75. They got Texas, they got A&M, they got Texas Tech, they got Oklahoma, they got Oklahoma State signs, and more. Unlike traditional neon, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but they still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love, and they can last for up to 100,000 hours. That is 11 years. They are the perfect gift for anybody at any time, especially if your team is about to go to the national championship game. Sorry, Longhorns fans. Head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign today.
Appreciate you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
12 away!
As the Mavericks we are just 12 subscribers away from reaching.
We're not stopping until we get there.
The magical mark of 13,000. So come in here, come subscribe, tell your friends and your family the best DFW sports talk is right here at DLLS Sports. Right now we are joined by we're joined by Tim Cato, our Mavericks beat writer, live from the American Airlines Center. Unfortunately, Tim, a disappointing 112-101 loss. Klay Thompson dropping 25, going 6 of 13 from the three-point line. He just finished speaking to the media. What did Klay have to say after today's game?
Yeah, he agreed with Jason Kidd's assessment that this team probably just ran out of energy in the fourth quarter. I thought on both ends, there was a really high level of energy exerted from the team, and I do think that as frustrating as I'm sure it is for fans, that eventually if you ask players to play beyond their roles so often, that there are going to be moments where they just finally hit the wall in a game that they had played so well in. Doesn't mean there can't be critiques, but yeah, I mean, even Clay himself said, I mean, he said that he wished that there were some threes that he could have back. I liked how he described it. He said, but this is the life we chose. When it comes to sometimes shots don't go in, but yeah, that was the gist of what Clay had to say out there.
This is the life we chose is so funny. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of perspective, I guess.
Clay, Tim, Clay Thompson here on the DLS Mavs show. Clay played 35 minutes. Dinwiddie played 39 minutes. PJ 37 plus minutes, and that's something that KG and I were talking about in the last segment. Is like, you're going to be tired if you're trying to outperform your role, but also you're going to be tired if you're just playing an S load of minutes. And like the bench was so tonight that the starters kind of had to, which that's normally the Nuggets' problem, not the Mavs'. But that was the case tonight.
Yeah, this is Jaden Hardy didn't have it. Quentin Grimes didn't have it. You could argue that maybe Grimes earns a slightly longer leash just because he has played so well in recent games, but you cannot argue that what he actually did on the court tonight was good or positive. It was not. And yeah, that leaves you in a very tricky situation. Once again, I saw some chatter on Twitter in the opening minutes of this game when Dallas really started building that lead about, where is the role, where are the minutes for Dante Exum when this team is fully healthy? And
they're there.
I don't know. They're definitely there. It was a instant jinx of the bench guards, and no doubt in my mind that this is a game where you would like to, if you're going to be down the two superstars, you want your fully healthy, fully available backups to be options in this game, but they weren't. Exum was not an option, and those two guys were bad, and so I think that is essentially what led to Kidd feeling like he couldn't, really put lineups without Spencer Dinwiddie out there. That they had to survive them, just like Denver usually has to survive non-Jokic minutes, except that, obviously tonight that was the issue. I thought Dallas should feel proud or accomplished that their half court defense was good against Denver, but they just gave all of those advantages, all of that good work on that end. They gave it right back throughout the game with offensive rebounds, with transition, and that's just a brutal way to play such good, traditional fundamental defense in the setting that everybody prepares for. All the time, going into a game is spent focused on the half court defense, and it was good. It's just every other aspect of it was not.
They were minus 27 kg combined on second chance points and fast break points. Minus 27.
Yeah,
that's so many points to have to overcome, dude.
Yeah, if you're not going to get and close out possessions with defensive rebounds and then give up transition points as well, I mean, it's a recipe for disaster in a game where you led by as many as 19 points, and to the point that you were making about how many minutes certain guys are playing. In the year of our Lord 2025, Klay Thompson should not be playing 35 minutes.
That's a lot to ask of him.
That's a lot to ask of him at this stage in his career. But again, that's incumbent upon Quentin Grimes, Jaden Hardy, and what you have available to you right now to be better, because to ask him to play 35 minutes and still be what was overall a plus, he wanted me a +1 actually, throughout the course of the game with the 25 points that he had. That's just a lot, Tim, to ask that player at this stage to do so and to think that you're going to win a game like this against a team in Denver that is as good as they are.
Yeah, like Spencer Dinwiddie, we talked a lot about this when Luka first got hurt. He came in and he was awesome. And then another game with 30-plus minutes, another one, 28 minutes here, 34 minutes there. It's no surprise to me that Spencer Dinwiddie at this point of his career is just not as spectacular, that, the threes are not going in as often. And, what's the symptom for, it's not, in this case, it's probably dead legs. It's an unfortunate thing, but, that's probably the reality. So as fun as the last two games were, and as much as I believe this team still proved, even in this game, that they're a good team that can compete with, without Luka and Kyrie out there, not win, not hit the same winning ceilings, but they could compete. But it just was not, sometimes this is going to drag. Sometimes this is going to be tough.
I'm sorry, the numbers are kind of mind-boggling. Just as we were talking about Dinwiddie for a second here, played 39 minutes with 4-13 from the field, went 8 of 10 from the free throw line. He still wound up with 10 assists and only 2 turnovers. We're talking about a 5-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio in a game that he had 16 points, but was still a -17. Like, my brain doesn't compute how effective counting stats-wise you can be, but when you look at the overall effectiveness of the game, a -17 with that kind of stat line is kind of.
We played the whole fourth quarter, so it was -21 in the fourth.
I mean, yeah, but it's just like.
Yeah, but in the fourth, he was 2 for 5.
Exactly,
with,
yeah.
And only 1 assist. But also, it's like, dude, it's almost hard to blame. It's not hard to blame Dinwiddie too much because can be a really tough watch. But non-hims were 3 for 16. In the fourth quarter.
Yeesh.
Spencer and PJ were combined 4 for 9. The rest of the Mavs were 1 for 12. 1 for 12. Clay 0 for 4, Najee 0 for 2. But Tim, that just goes back to, like, there's just nothing easy. Like, they just have to try so hard just to get, like, a chance at a good shot. I just spent 2 segments complaining about this, so I just want to say, do you agree with me, or explain why you agree with me that their defense has to be their offense. Like, they cannot do all right, half court, let's do something, and now let's run down and do half court and do something. They've got to force stops on defense and get out and run.
Yeah. It's just the offensive rebounding, sometimes that's just going to happen. Denver's very good at it. They have big bodies. Aaron Gordon was back. Without Luka out there, Luka is such an important aspect, like such an important factor to their defensive rebounding. When they're good on that end, a lot of that is him contributing and getting in the mix. Obviously, like, we know that even Jokic, like, sometimes it feels like he's intentionally shooting to go get his miss. Like, you're going to concede some, but to concede that many is just demoralizing. And the fast break stuff, it's the same thing. It's like, yes, Russell Westbrook is a one-man fast break. That is a known thing about him. But at the same time, as I think Jokic is walking by, he is. Goodbye, Jokic.
Go tell him to chill out next game. Just, like, go reconsider your career.
But, yeah, the fast break stuff is just,
oh,
it's especially as it's a disappointing way to, kind of toss away this advantage that you had in the half court. All the work you were doing. That's what really, because there was so much effort Dallas was putting into, defending and stopping the first shot, only to, go down and all of a sudden, before you could even set up, before you could even exert that effort again, Denver has scored again. Here's my one question for you guys. We've talked, and this was more of a discussion we were having in the 5-game losing streak when things seemed, at their worst. But we talked about whether Dallas needs to be really pragmatic, and there's a back-to-back coming up, and one of the second game of the back-to-back seems easier, seems more gettable than the Denver game. But at the same time, everybody in that locker room, wants a chance to get it right against this team. So
dude,
no, yeah, because I'm not gonna lie to you, putting it in that frame of reference, given what happened today, that just really pissed me off. Because in a sense, in a sense, you're right, because you're going to be on the second night of a back-to-back when you play New Orleans on Wednesday. You smoke
that's one of your circle because they're winnable games.
Exactly, one of your quote-unquote winnable games. and you smoke a 19-point lead, and if you decide to go that route, that makes this loss today sting that much more if you decide to go that route.
Well, yeah,
on
but
Tuesday.
what if they don't? And they try and play on Tuesday, they lose, and then they're tired on Wednesday, they lose that too.
Again, it just compounds. Yeah, that's the difficult decision.
You can't let the past dictate the future.
You know,
Like,
I agree with
go,
you.
know?
I'm just saying, but that's just a mentally hard thing to process given what happened today, because pragmatically that does make a lot of sense, but also it's a nationally televised game at 8:30 on Tuesday. Like, you should be rested enough to go out and do that. But at Clay playing 35 minutes,
the NBA has the participation rules and stuff, and it would be difficult to rest say Clay Thompson, like literally difficult while abiding by the NBA's rules.
They've paid fines before.
It's true.
It's 22 and a half hours between tip-offs, too. It's an 8:30 p.m. game, which really means almost 9. National TV, so longer commercial breaks. And then you got to hop on a flight and go to New Orleans. So you're not even going to get there until, if you're lucky, you're going to get there at like 1:30 or 2 in the morning, if you're lucky. And then you got to get up and play a game at 7 p.m. the next night.
Against a Pelicans team that low-key has been playing a little bit better. CJ McCollum's been pretty decent as of late, and Zion is back. For the Pelicans as well. So it's not like it's a gimme
gives me goose
against New Orleans.
If it's me, I do lean towards the pragmatic approach, but I am not the one who has to go into the locker room and say that to the players. The players who know how much, like, they know they're up 18 and they absolutely feel like they can go get it. Get this next game against Denver. So I just don't know I don't know if it's possible to approach it like that. I guess the one thing I would do is if I would have a very quick, I would very quickly pull starters and pull the older players who you need to rely on the next day. Probably shorten their minutes, their shifts in the rotation just a little bit, and if the game gets out of hand, like, there is a very quick going to the bench and playing, deeper backups. Like, I think you have to go into this game planning for Omax to be 2 6-minute shifts, something like that, because you need to make sure that none of the players are, unless this game is very winnable. And then possibly you're right back in the situation you started if you have a winnable game and you're, really taxing the vets and the starters to try to get it and you lose. That's the worst case scenario. So I don't know, man. It's a really tough one.
Tim, as always, we appreciate the time. We'll talk to you tomorrow here on the DLLS Mavs podcast at 1 o'clock, man. Appreciate the time.
See you then.
Bye, Tim.
That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, going to join us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. When we come back here, we'll be joined by our National NBA insider, Marc Stein, live from the American Airlines Center as well. All that coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs postgame show.
But first, folks, we're 12 subs away from 13,000. And just to peel the curtain back a little bit, I'm about to beg you for a subby. We have been
you should
live.
Get on your knees in front of the camera.
We've been live on a post-game show for the 10,000 sub milestone, the 11,000 sub milestone, and the 12,000 sub milestone. And so we have to be the ones live for the 13K. We got to keep the streak alive here at DLLS Sports. We don't just cover the Mavs. We also cover the Stars. They're going to be doing post-game show here pretty soon.
That's right.
We cover the Rangers. We cover the Cowboys. And I also believe we got some more sports coming on the way down the pipeline. All the stuff we're doing on YouTube, pre- and post-games for every single game, every single team, every single season, that all is free. If you want to take your support one step further, hey, the QR code right there or the link in the description below, or just go to alldlls.com/diehard for less than $7 a month. You can become a diehard, which gets you access to all the written content on our site. You get to join the DLS Diehard Discord server, and you also get a free shirt when you sign up and a discount on any other merch you want. We got hoodies, we got some mugs, we got some cups, we got some hats on the way. Marc Stein, you'll see his. He's got the 1 of 1 right now, but we got more just like it coming down the pipeline and a whole lot more. You also get your physical diehard card. But yeah, the sub thing, man, you don't
hit the subscribe button.
Yeah,
please.
hit the subscribe button. It takes nothing to support us, but it gives us everything. It gives us the immortality of being able to say we're extending our milestone streak to 4 straight.
That's right.
10 away. 10
away. Let's go.
10 away. Come on. We could do it. 9 away. Come on. Call your friends. Dial, pick up that
Keep
phone.
it going.
Pick up that phone, and we will keep streaming until we get there.
Let me
so
save you. Let me save you. You out of breath. Please come in here. Tell your friends, tell your family who love DFW sports to join the hottest DFW sports talk here at DLLS Sports. Rangers, Stars, Mavericks, Cowboys. It's about to be a hot off season for your Cowboys, maybe. But we also got great Mavericks basketball coming down the future because Luka and Kyrie are eventually coming back. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe here. Shout out to who is that? How do you say that? Just sub, let's go, something in my fingers? Music in my fingers.
Music in my veins, I think it was. Music.
Music in my fingers.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
Shout out to you.
Appreciate
Thank you for the subscription.
Heck yeah. 5 away. Let's go. Come on.
As we are now joined
stay in line.
by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein. Dapper Stein showing up here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. I like what you're doing with the jacket there. Appreciate you happening on with this. Unfortunately, the Mavericks fall 112 to 101 to the Denver Nuggets. And what has been described by several folks in the chat today, Mark, a mid-game from Nikola Jokic, which is wild to think that a guy went for 19, 18, and 9 is a mid-game. But we are talking about Nikola Jokic here. But more importantly, Mark, they waste a really good performance from Klay Thompson, who had 25 points today.
Yeah, look, there's nothing I can say probably that's going to cushion the blow from this one, minimize the disappointment. I got to be honest, though, sitting courtside, and, I always tell you guys how spoiled I am to have the seat that I had. The start, it did make me think, this is too soon. It's too fortuitous. I think the Mavericks' first half was misleading. They hit 10 of their first 14 threes, and the Nuggets missed 7 of their first 9 free throws. Neither was going to last, not with the Mavericks in the shape that they're in without their 2 stars. But, look, what happened I'm guessing I'm not the first one in this 45-plus minutes you guys have been on the air to bring up the non-Jokic minutes. They lost those by double digits, and that's the game. They had to have more of a cushion before Jokic came back because, if that's mid, I'll take mid every day of the week and twice on Sunday. The guy just being out there, just the ability for them to just throw it to him at the nail and let him just surgically pick you apart. You know what's coming and you can't stop it. And he had help in the fourth quarter. The Nuggets missed every 3-point shot they attempted in the third quarter, but they really played well at the start of the fourth without Jokic. And, there was only one way it was going to end up at the end. And probably the only thing we can do to salvage this afternoon / early evening is let's get to that 13K. Let's do it together.
That's what I'm talking about.
How many more subscribes do we need? That would be something.
We need 4 more.
Look, with the Mavs in their current state, we just keep saying it. I know, they get up early and you don't want to believe it, but again, you have to really 10 of 14 from 3. That's not sustainable with Luka and Kyrie out there. It's certainly not sustainable without them.
But at the same time, Mark, so they start 11 of 17 from 3. They end 1 of 17 from 3, or 1 of 15, or whatever it is. Like
if you give me
just completely
4 or 5 more, you win.
But and we talked about this on our own. Tim was talking about it in the last segment too. But by the end of the game, these guys are just out of gas. It's just really, really hard. And even that's up against a Nuggets team that overplays their starters, I think, too.
But Denver had a lot to do with it to me. They played so well both times that they didn't have Jokic on the floor. DeAndre Jordan, he made an impact in 9 minutes.
Aaron Gordon was so good too.
Aaron Gordon was on a minutes restriction, but the 18 minutes he was out there, he was a monster. And Michael Malone said after the game that the way Jamal Murray looked in the first half, he thought about shutting him down. I thought in the fourth quarter, Jamal Murray looked he's playing on a bad knee. He looked very spry and very dangerous. And they just had a lot working at the end. And the Mavs, when things started unraveling, looked like a team that knew it had limited answers, limited shot creation. And I know I keep saying it, but in their current state, when you don't have Luka and you don't have Kyrie, between Quentin Grimes, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Najee Marshall, you need two of those three guys going to have any chance against a good team. And today they just couldn't muster it. And like I said, I'm not. I know it's easier for me to be impartial and objective and rational, and none of that is supposed to happen here. This is not. I know this is not a rational place, and we don't even want it to be a rational place. But I just think it is. It is the reality of the situation. Grimes was so good against the Lakers. He's not going to do that every single game. It's not reasonable to ask him to do it every single game. And the ebbs and flows of how players fill in for Luka and Kyrie, that is the reality of the situation that the Mavericks have to deal with. And so no win under these circumstances is a bad one, but this is not the first time we've seen this team take leads against Houston, Memphis, Cleveland. I think Sacramento as well. It's hard for them to sustain it in their current state. I don't think I'm sugarcoating it. I think I'm just being realistic.
Yeah, like in the fourth quarter, they're trying to what's the thing? They're trying to grind. They're taking their toothpick and chipping away at a mountain. They got to take down this whole thing just to get a good shot. It's like, man, it sure would be nice if Luka or Kyrie were out there to just do something, but they don't have that security to fall back on. So everyone has to be Luka and Kyrie, you're asking a lot of them. That's why this stretch is going to be so tough.
And I guess for me, what disappointed about having that 19-point lead with, 450 left in the third quarter, you got away from the things that help get you to a 19-point lead. Yes, the sustainability of the three-point shooting that they had from Klay Thompson and others in the first half, you're not going to necessarily depend on it, but you got to find a way to get better shots, at least similar to what you were doing in the first half. And it felt like they got completely away from that in the fourth quarter, where they kind of shot themselves in the foot to give away what was that lead. I know Aaron Gordon was great. DeAndre Jordan outplayed Daniel Gafford tonight, which is wild to think about in the year 2025, but it happened. But I thought the Mavericks simply got away too much for what was working, even aside from the shot making. They weren't even getting good quality shots to be able to sustain what they were doing.
I have to agree. The start of the fourth quarter was disastrous, and that to me is where the game was lost. You had to have some sort of buffer before Jokic came back into the game. But again, I really felt like Denver had a lot to do with it. I'm not trying to absolve the Mavs fully from blame, but Murray and Gordon were really good without Jokic on the floor. And I haven't even mentioned Westbrook yet. Westbrook was just his manic vintage self from minute one in this game. He got to the rim countless times. At the end of the game, he's blocking shots and doing the Mutombo finger wag. He's joining with fans in the front row. He was locked in and at his menacing best today. They had it all working once, the first, I agree with you. Squandering the second lead was far worse than squandering the first. But we know that in today's NBA that 19, 18-point leads, they don't provide a lot of comfort. And especially when you don't have your closers. And the Mavs don't. They just don't.
Want to thank all of our television audience for joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports as well, and visit alldlls.com to become a diehard member and download and subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts for free. We will also have our show tomorrow at 1 p.m. here on DLLS Sports, the market calendar, as we'll have our regular podcast in between games, of course, when the Mavericks take on the Nuggets on Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Our pregame show will begin at 7:45 right here on DLLS Sports. As we continue here on the YouTube side of things, really appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. The Mavericks fall to the Denver Nuggets 112-101. We are joined by our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, breaking it all down in a second half where, unfortunately, the Mavericks scored just 40 points, including just 12 in the final frame, getting outscored 33-12 in the fourth quarter.
3 subs away!
As we are also just 3 subscribers away from reaching the magical.
Hey, everyone, help us out here. Let's pull together. Let's bond together. Help us reach this milestone. Only it is in your hands, friends in the chat. It is up to you. I know, look, let's be honest. An overwhelming majority of the people in the chat have probably already subscribed. We know that. But if there are 3, 4, 5 of you out there who have not yet, click that subscribe button. One small click helps us move into yet another tier of subscribers that we just, it would, you see, I'm struggling for words here. That's how much.
Yeah, it just gives us bragging rights over all the other shows. Because, again, we've been live for 10K, we've been live for 11K, for 12K, and I want to be live for 13K. I will not rest.
Who's first tomorrow? Who's first on deck? Is it Cowboys? Like, we don't want to let them get the glory.
No, well, Stars are doing a post game that starts here in like half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah. So we want to try to get it before the Stars come on.
Because we know Ludwig and Co. will lord it over us if they're the ones.
Mark, I don't want to like veer too far off topic, but we're a couple of the Steinline Substack subscribers.
We are.
And, you know, every week now it's like a little more trade stuff, a little more trade talk, a little more trade talk.
We're less than a month away.
Yeah, it's like 3 weeks away now all of a sudden.
That's
like,
right.
Oh, my gosh, it's almost trade season. And,
yeah.
You know, we've talked about this before, but the Mavs' upcoming schedule is really tough. Still unclear when Kyrie's going to play. Still a ways away from Luka even being reevaluated. Are they going to like trade for Michael Jordan tomorrow or like next week, or what is the timetable for when they're going to turn this thing around?
Look, I think they're definitely exploring their options. You know, they're always active. If there's no trade at this deadline, I think that would be the first trade deadline in the Nico Harrison era that we didn't get a deal. But the message that keeps being returned to me is it's going to be hard for the Mavericks to make a deal without being willing to surrender someone who they consider to be, you know, an important part of the core. And so I don't know that we're going to see trade action. Again, history says that we should expect it because Nico Harrison has always made a move at the deadline. And again, I do think they're looking, but I have to say, there's been less, when I talk to other teams, there's been less Mavericks chatter than I would have anticipated. So, I mean, that's just, you know, that's where we are on the night of January 12th. Things could change quickly, but, you know, I think something else, you know, I don't have a lot of teams badgering me about, hey, what's Dallas going to do, which is typically what happens when a Mavs move is anticipated. So like I said, things could change fast.
I was going to cut you off, Mark, and say, are you like spilling the beans to other whenever they're like, what's Dallas going to do? And you're like, well, here's all the juicy information. I'm just like, don't be giving the secrets away.
Well, believe me, if I have the secrets, I'm publishing them first. It's like, if I have the secrets, why would I not report them? I guess is, you know, my counter to that. I wish I had all the secrets, and I wish they were all, you know, out there under my name. But look, we know the Mavs are always active, always looking, always trying. So, you know, I don't want to sit here and say absolutely positively there will be nothing. But, you know, to this point, when I've asked, when I've checked, you know, the market, the planets on the market have not yet aligned, I guess is the best way I can put it.
Who wants theirs worst? Bobby Corella for 13,000 subscribers or the Suns for Jimmy Butler? Who wants theirs worse?
I would say right now Bobby, because I think deep down the Suns know they can't get Jimmy Butler. Like they just there's no functional way for them to get him. So Plus, I really felt that Corella Strader urgency when you guys shifted from segment 3 to 4. So
We need it.
I don't even know that the Suns could match Bobby's plea to the masses. Where are we? How many subs away are we?
One sub away.
One sub away.
Call your friends.
We are not signing off until someone gets us to 13,000. Come on.
I will be here for the next 20 minutes, maybe 15. I've been here all day. I want to go home so bad, but we need 13K first.
We need 13K.
How much panic in the virtual streets has there been?
Oh, it's been vibes have been better for sure.
Yeah. I just think I think a lot of the folks in the chat feel like an opportunity was lost. Like you go up 19, you're playing really well, you got a chance to have a winning homestand.
We did it.
Woo! We hit 13,000. Stop doing that. It's not. You can't be able to see it. You still.
We did it. Clearly.
No, you couldn't. But that's okay.
We see it.
You can't hear it. I played your little
Turn me the up.
So we did it. 13,000 subscribers.
Go get Luds.
Somebody subscribe some more. Like hit the subscribe button. A few more of y'all, so we can get over 13K.
Thank y'all. Milestones are so cool, but also like it's just so. Thank y'all.
It's our bit now.
It's fun. It's cool. We're building this. We built this thing from zero so far, and it's only been like 4 or 5 months. There's no telling, like
later on this month,
especially once the vibes get better and the Mavs start rattling off 15-game win streaks, like we all know is going to happen in the next month or so. It's going to be really, really fun. So, thank you for signing up to be a part of the journey with us.
And what this means is that in your, I think I've mentioned this before. If you really want to be inside baseball on what happens at DLLS Industries, is that every Monday, our head of content, Bobby Corella, writes a note to the whole staff, talks about the wins of the week, maybe some areas for improvement. And because of the great efforts of today's chat room audience, it means that in your Monday note, you get to say that we hit that 13,000 milestone on another Mavs show.
That's right.
And to do it on a loss is pretty impressive, Sarah. I appreciate your comment there. But that's just a credit to all the folks who are supporting us here at DLLS Sports.
But again, that's the thing. People care.
They care,
people
yeah.
Care. Like I sometimes just like excessive complaining can be a little obnoxious. It can be kind of like it's not helpful to just vent and complain and just be sad and be mad and be frustrated and angry and be like, why aren't you saying more bad things about the person that I don't like? But people care. People are so locked in, to the Mavs, even now whenever their two best players are hurt. Like I think externally, a lot of people think about Mavs fans that they're either just Luka fans or Kyrie fans, and no one really cares about the team. But that's definitely not the case because, everyone in chat is really fired up about this. This loss stunk. Vibes took a hit today because, we were thinking that we were going to have the best Sunday of our lives, and now it's just another normal Sunday, and we got work tomorrow. But hey, people care, man. Y'all are really, really fired up about this team, and that's what makes it so fun.
You really thought this Sunday, even with a win, could have topped the Sunday when Denver was here last March when Kyrie hit the running lefty fling at the buzzer? Like
this would have been a pretty epic win.
Oh, that was so good, though.
That was a great day.
Or when the Inferno himself knocked down the game-tying 3 to cap off that comeback force OT. That was also a Sunday, right?
That was a Sunday. That's right. That was a Sunday.
That was such a good Sunday.
Yeah, Sundays have been pretty good for the Mavericks.
Didn't the Mavs win the title on a Sunday too? Or was it a Tuesday?
I think you're right. I think it was.
All right, that's probably the best Sunday of Mavs basketball, if I had to guess.
I will say this. I will leave you with this. The Inferno is starting to take shots with a fully unobstructed right hand. So
that's something to hold on to. You know what? We're leaving.
I still Inferno, more likely February, maybe the end of January. He's not. I do not want to suggest that he's on the brink of a return, but he is definitely progressing.
Let me ask you this before we let you go, because Tim brought up the point, and it's one worth discussing real quick. So obviously the Mavericks lose today, blowing the 19-point lead. They play the Denver Nuggets again on Tuesday, but that'll be on the first night of a back-to-back where they play the Pelicans the next day on Wednesday. How would you approach Tuesday's game, knowing it's a nationally televised game, late start time at 8:30, and you got a back-to-back with the Pelicans less than 24 hours later on the road against the Pelicans. He's got Zion back. C.J. McCollum's been playing a little bit better as of late. How would you approach that if you're the Mavericks based on what happened?
Because it's on your home court, I think you have to go for it. Like, I just don't think you can assume that a trip to New Orleans, as you said, the Pelicans are starting to get healthier here and could well have a full strength. They're pretty close to full strength lineup. So that's a question that I'll obviously be able to answer better maybe tomorrow or certainly Tuesday, after I've gotten a chance to check around and check the vibe on how they might play it. But my instinct is, you got to play the game in front of you in this case, because the second night of a back-to-back is never favorable. So, I mean, I think I heard Bobby at one point when you guys had Tim on saying, if things go bad Tuesday night, maybe you pull the plug early. But I think you go into it trying to win it.
Oh, boy.
You hope that the Nuggets have a great Monday in Dallas and get a little complacent.
Well, all right, hey, if y'all work at local restaurants, overpour. Call the hotel hotline rooms numbers, maybe pull some fire alarms. Is that what we're saying? That what we're saying?
That's what you said. That's what you said.
That's not what we're
You're not going to rope Stein into any of that. You're not going to rope him
Marc
into
Stein said.
No, that's not.
Okay.
That is not what he said.
All right. Well, never mind.
We'll find out more information tomorrow as the Mavericks will practice tomorrow at their practice facility. So we will find out some more when Jason Kidd speaks to the media, because the Mavericks will practice tomorrow afternoon. So, Mark, as always, we appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Congratulations to your Buffalo Bills. They're headed to the divisional round where they get to host Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens next week in the divisional round. That's going to be one hell of a football game. I'm sure you're excited to watch next week.
Not as excited as my son, the biggest Buffalo Bills fan in all of Texas. But I will say that after Josh Allen wins the MVP Bowl, that he will show why he's the rightful.
No, you remember last time Baltimore and Buffalo got together? You remember what happened?
Not really.
Buffalo got their ass whooped by Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, but I think this was the Stars Stanley Cup final motto whenever they beat, no offense, Mark, sorry to bring it up, but they beat the Sabres. That was then. This is now. Or was that a Mavs slogan? I don't remember.
Look at you. You don't even know what's going on here. Mark, as always, we appreciate your time, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good, guys.
See ya.
Bye, Mark.
You can always dial up the sign line for our National NBA insider, Marc Stein.
Does anyone remember? Was that a Stars motto, or was that a Mavs motto? I think it was a Stars one in '99. That was then. This is now. I think.
Did you see how Lamar Jackson looked yesterday?
No, I didn't watch.
Oh, you should have, because him and Derrick Henry put on a show.
No, during that game, I was shopping for stuff to put in my apartment.
Okay.
And I came away with a. I know my mom is watching, so I'll shout out my mom for this.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Mama Corella, because let me tell you something, Mama Corella. These lemon cookies, these peanut butter.
Oh, they're smash hits.
We're going to have a real conversation, Mama Corella, about what needs to happen about the next time I have a party or something, because the cookies that you have been putting down and having your son bring to this studio around here, shout out to you.
Absolute smash hits.
Shout out
at
to
the
you, Mama
DLLS
Corella.
Sports Studios. But
you're the real MVP around here with these
I
desserts.
came away with a big canvas. It looks really cool. It's definitely my style, and it's now hanging in my room. But I was like, I don't know what to do with this. And my mom was like, oh, well, you get the hook and the nail goes through the hook, and like she's saying, like, it's this obvious thing. And I'm like, yeah, totally. Like, I know exactly what you mean. I'll probably just figure it out. She's like, well, let me just do it for you. So my mom came and helped me hang it up. So shout out. So yeah, I did not see the football contest yesterday.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens put on a show and beat down the fake playoff Steelers yesterday. But Josh Allen, he also put on a show today for Buffalo. The AFC divisional matches are crazy. You got Chiefs, Texans, Ravens, Bills. So that should be a lot of fun. Bleep the Eagles, by the way. Bleep them, man.
Oh, what's the score to that one?
They're destroying the
are they?
Yeah, it's bad. It's Last time I saw, they were up.
It's only 16-3.
Come on, man. They beating the brakes off of them.
16-3.
It's in the
Mavs were up by more than that tonight.
It's about to be the fourth quarter. It's about to be the fourth quarter.
Mavs were up 19 in the third, and they gave that thing away. Anything's possible.
Thanks, Tanner.
Clearly, you didn't listen to the DLLS Mavs podcast.
You're probably right. All I did was host it. You're right.
Hey, hey, as I say after every annoying loss, and there's been, I agree, too many of them lately.
Too many, damn it.
Gotta
Too many.
fix the vibes. Let's fix the vibes. Hey, losses are going to happen. Even the best teams lose 20. I'm coping really hard right now.
Super.
It's totally going to be fine, guys. Pretty soon, all the best players, all your faves are going to be back out there, and the Mavs are going to be winning, but we got to eat our vegetables. And what happens when you eat your vegetables is you get big and strong.
You grow.
And healthy, and you feel great for when the games really matter.
Clearly, we got
these games right now,
all this green going on right now.
Yeah, these games in January, they don't matter. What really matters is the games later in the season. These games don't matter one bit. Everything is fine. We're going to turn it around. You and me and KG and Tanner and Tim and Stein and the Stars guys.
No, not Stein. He's impartial.
Not Stein.
Yeah, he's
Stein won't turn it around.
That's right.
He'll be there
He'll
for
just
it,
report
though.
on the turning around.
Yeah. So we're going to be fine, all right? Just if you say it enough times, you might believe it.
Shout out to our guy Tanner for always making us look good and sound good all the way to 13,000 subscribers. Really appreciate you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs postgame show. We'll be back tomorrow for our regular podcast at 1 p.m. here on DLLS Sports. We'll have a full practice report as the Mavericks do practice tomorrow as they prepare to take on Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets again on Tuesday night. That tip-off will be at 8:30 p.m. with our pregame show beginning at 7:45. So a busy couple of days.
Drink like 7 teas that day.
It'll be a busy couple of days here for us here at DLLS Mavs. I really appreciate all of you joining us here on our post-game show. Unfortunately, the Mavericks fall tonight 112-101. They'll look to avenge the loss on Tuesday night. For our national NBA insider, Marc Stein, our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, that is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curl. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on the DLLS Mavs podcast at 1 p.m. here on DLLS Sports. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.